Okay, fine. So let's start with today's session. I guess all of you already know about me from the previous sessions, and even Sagar introduced me. So let's talk about today's agenda. The the session will start with introduction to debugging. Okay, and then I'll introduce you to the UiPath debug panel. Okay, and we'll talk something about UiPath modes, and also we'll touch up on functionalities of debugging actions and some other ways to debug. Okay, and we'll try to keep this session as practical as possible. Okay, okay, let's start. So anyone, again, same question, what is debugging? Just a final response from you guys. What is debugging according to you?
Catching and solving the bugs which occurs during programming.
Okay, and any other answers? Okay, so that is
Resolving,
correct. Yeah, please.
resolving and troubleshooting the errors.
Right, so debugging is a process which actually helps you do that. Okay, so debugging is a process of detecting and resolving errors, and the debugging elements which are provided as features by UiPath will help you do that. Okay, and why should we debug? The question is, we understood what is debugging, basically finding out errors and then helping it helps us process to resolve and things like that to help us with error resolution. But why really should we debug? Is there anything else apart from just having a running code? What else? What should be the reason behind debugging?
To analyze the root cause of the problem.
Hmm. Correct. Other answers, please. Do you think debugging allows us uh, to gain confidence on our project, on the code? So,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
okay,
Yes, yes.
nice.
Yes.
And do you think debugging should be debugging actually enhances your enables you to increase your code reliability? Is that
Yes.
true?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
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 Okay, correct. So like you can read here on slide, so it does ensure that it does ensure increased reliability, accuracy, and as well as efficiency. We'll get deeper into that, how it does impact all of that. But as a best practice in general, when should we debug? Is it during the development time or after the product has gone into production?
The development time too.
During the development time.
Correct, correct.
Before going
Development
to the
time.
production.
Yeah, so there are people who try to debug after it has gone live, but yeah, you should not do that. So actually debugging it in the project design time, like while you are actually developing the project, is the best practice, and you should going deeper into that aspect, debugging during design stage at activity and file level and project level as well is important. It's not just that you just press debug button on the whole project and then just saw everything went fine, like in just one happy path, and then you are done saying that you successfully debug. No, that's not it. At each activity level, each container level, project level, everywhere you should test at each levels. And how do we do that? Through UiPath, we'll learn next. Okay, so like I promised earlier, not too many theories in this session. We will focus mainly on hands-on. Okay, what we'll focus on? Okay, so I'll just show you first here in PPT, and then same thing I'll just show you how you can find it in UiPath. So this is what is called the debug panel. So if you guys can open your UiPath Studios quickly, okay, and if you can tell me from your memory, do you remember the debug panel somewhere here on top? Does everyone remember debug panel? Has everyone noticed it?
Yes.
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 Yes, sir.
Okay, so today's session is all about this debug panel and some things extra. Okay, but you can see here lots of features are there, lots of options. What do they all mean? What is the purpose behind all of that? We'll be talking about. Plus, there are lots of other things as well. But I promise to make it as easy for you as possible. Okay, it's not that complicated, believe me. It's easy, just that you should be, by the end of the session, 99% guarantee that you will be able to answer any question related to these elements. Okay, none of you will be confused. Okay, so just going I wanted to show you here first to help you grab an image of it. Then the other options which I told you, we, apart from the panel, okay, apart from the debug panel which you see here, okay, I'll be also talking about these three things: run to this activity feature, run from this activity feature, and test activity feature. Okay, these three things we'll talk about. And then we'll also talk about the panels available to us during debugging. So you can see there are 6 panels, out of which the output panel is always available, but others are generally used during debugging. Okay, why? I'll discuss that again. Okay, so again, let me reiterate. We'll be going across 3 things. First, from the UiPath Studio, we'll try to understand each element from the debug panel. What do they mean? Okay, second, there are 3 more things apart from the debug panel which we need to uh, look into. Third, there are 6 panels. Okay, 6 kind of value data panels that are available to us to help monitor and change values during debugging. So we'll look into them as well. So these 3 parts the session will be divided into, and we'll be learning all of it hands on through UiPath directly. Okay, now I'm going to UiPath Studio, and I expect you all to do the same. Let me know when you guys have opened UiPath Studio. Just give a heads up through, maybe
It's
through the
open
action.
already.
Okay, good. Next, just create a project, name it debugging analysis or something. Just go to blank process, create a process. And since I have already done that, what I'll do is just open my project. Meanwhile, you can create a new project for you guys. And what I can do is, I can give you the code as well. Okay, I think it should be. Okay, just let it load for a minute. Maybe I'll open a new session altogether. Yeah. Open debugging analysis. Okay, you guys can see the debug panel on top, right? It will load
Yes.
properly,
Yes.
but yeah. Okay, almost loaded. Fine. I just forgot where I saved it. think it should be here. I'll zip it first. Okay, now just attaching it. Okay, meanwhile, let it load. Meanwhile, since it has already loaded for me, let me just go ahead and start with the debug panel description. Don't worry, I'm not getting here right now. Like, I'll just share the code. You will be able to follow along as well, but it's the easy part which I'm explaining right now. So generally the studio opens in this way with the design tab enabled. Okay, and here you can see it is in design mode, which basically means the read write mode. You can read as well, write as well. That means edit as well. Okay, but when we are debugging, first important point, when we are debugging the code, studio goes into something called read mode. Okay, you are not allowed to edit anything apart from the values of the variables. No other, like for example, you have given an activity after that, and during debugging you remember that you had to remove that activity. You will not be able to delete it during debugging. No, only the existing variable values you'll be able to change, nothing else, no other change. Everything goes into read only mode. Okay, this you need to remember. So the debug panel starts with debug file option. You can see this icon on the top left, and you can see the name calls debug file. Can anyone tell me what would it mean? What does debug file mean?
When you run that file, it provides you steps. What are the activities? I mean, while running the file in compile panel, we'll see some of the events going on, right? That is my
Okay,
understanding.
Yeah.
okay.
Can I say?
Now tell me, what is the difference between debug file and debug in that case?
Debug file means the current file select current workflow selected, that was only debug. And debug means
Okay,
the whole project will be debugged.
okay. And the previous person, who was it? Can you spell your name, please?
Mine,
Yeah, like I think
Krishnendu.
it was, yeah, you are Krishnendu
Sindhu.
and the Sindhu, right? So Sindhu, there are two things here. One is the debug file option and another is the debug project option. Okay, so what it basically means is, when I click on debug project, okay, you can see the debug will start from the main.xaml. So anytime the like the project execution starts from which method? Main method, right? So here as well in UiPath Studio, the debugging will start from, if I press step into, right, one second, one second. Did I press debug or debug file? Second. Right. So when you press debug, yeah, that's because it's going into a breakpoint, right? So you can see it starts from the main sequence. Okay, you can see in the main sequence I had put main process start as a log message, so that got printed here, and then it went into steps execute step sequence XAML, and inside this XAML I had added a breakpoint. Talk about all of this where it stopped. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is, I'll stop it here. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, there are two options for debug available to you. One is to start the debug from the main method, which is debug the entire project. Okay, and another is to debug file, which means I don't want to debug the entire project. I just need to focus on, let's say, one of the workflows. So one workflow, I just open, let's say this workflow. So I open this workflow, it opens like this, and then I'll just click debug file with this workflow selected. Okay, so in that case, this specific workflow, which is step sequence, will get into debug mode. Is that clear?
Yes.
Debug project is for entire projects, no matter where you are in your workflow. If you press debug, the debug will start from the main. Okay, but if you press debug file, in whatever workflow you are, that particular workflow file will start in debug mode. Okay, next, like you can see, after I press debug, these two things came up which was not there earlier. One is continue, one is stop. Okay, continue, like the name suggests, if I press the executor is stopped right now, paused here, right? If I press continue, it will continue to the other thing. But if I press break, wherever, in whatever activity it was during execution, it will pause then and there. Okay, again, here the executor is stopped right now. You see this icon, it means the executor is here right now. Okay, we have couple of activities after this. Okay, so if I press continue, the thing will start, okay, and continue till the last activity. But if I press break, wherever the activity executor is, there it will break. Okay, there it will pause. Now the next option which you see is stop. So if you press stop, what will happen? Tell me.
The
Stop the
debugging,
debugging.
It will
think the-
stop on that activity itself.
Stop on that activity, and so like the mode of the UiPath will be still read only mode, like it will still remain in debug mode, or it will go back to the initial mode, which is
No,
design mode.
it will be in the
initial
debug
mode.
mode.
Initial mode.
Initial mode, correct, it should go into initial. So that's the thing here. What I want you to focus on is, if I press continue, if I press break, okay, break means it will stay in debug mode. Wherever it was during execution, it will pause there. But if you press stop, it will just pause, like break everything and come out of the debug mode. Is it clear? Difference between break and stop. Break means wherever your executor is at that point of time, whichever activity was executing, there it will pause, right? But it will stay in debug mode. You can again press continue or other options. But if you press stop, that means altogether you need to stop. You mean stop debugging. That means your debug mode will end and design mode will come into action again. Is it clear? Is it clear? Should I explain
Yes,
again?
yes, yes.
Yes, got
Okay.
it.
Okay, clear. Next,
Can you
we
please
can
say that again?
yeah, sure. So like you can see, if I press on debug button, okay, after pressing on debug button, two things come up: break, continue, and stop. Okay, so either break or continue. So right now the execution is braked, it is paused. That's why you're getting continue button. Once I press continue, you'll start seeing break button. So when I pressed break, wherever so from here the execution had started, it printed this step log sequence printed, Excel scope opened, Excel opened, and then here it was trying to write cell when I pressed break button. So there itself it paused. So the execution is open, but it paused there. It did not go to next activity. Clear? But if I press stop button, okay, it will just come out of everything, like it will come out of this debug mode. It's now normal, all the executor and everything stopped. Is it clear?
Yeah,
That's the
understood.
difference between break and stop. Break will pause, stop will come out of debug. Okay,
Oh,
next.
thank you.
main step into. What does step into do? Tell me.
It will go one by one.
Each step one by.
Exactly. Anyone who thinks otherwise?
It will go into the activity which is in the under the main sequence.
Yeah, but like what should be the actual like what should be the execution way of execution? Will it execute one
In
by one or
chronological order
yes,
from starting
correct.
Yeah,
of
one by
activity
one.
to the end.
Exactly. So right now, if you can see, we have stopped debugging. I'll close all the remaining workflows for easier understanding. Okay. Now we are in the main workflow. Everyone, please focus here. These three are very important for debugging. Okay. And but they are very easy. Frankly speaking, it's as simple as the what the name suggests. Okay. So here we are in the main sequence, in the main activity, out of debugging mode. Now all I do is press step into. Okay, so when I press step into, so I am just explaining step into right now. Okay, so the debug mode starts and it will pause in the from where you started the step into. Okay, next if I press step into, look, the executor came here in the first activity. If I press step into again, it will come where just it will execute one activity and go to the next activity. Understood? So one by one it will execute. Okay, but here if you can see, like up till this part, is it clear? I'm explaining you step into, and what I did was, I'll do it again. I go to debug panel, I press step, I'm in the main sequence, I press step into. Okay, the executor is here in the very first activity. Press step into, so it will just go inside one activity. Okay, just go one activity, next activity. Okay, again step into, execute this and go to next activity. Okay, is this part clear?
Yes.
Okay, next there is a particular unique kind of behavior here. Okay, with step into, when it comes to a basic activity like a log message is a basic activity. So like you had seen already, when I pressed step into, it just executed this log message, came to the next activity. But now that we are in a, what is this? Can anyone tell me what is this? Which kind of activity is this?
It's a invoke.
Right. So what this basically does is I'm invoking another workflow. Okay. So I had built multiple workflows. You can see. So apart from main.xaml, I had created retry breakpoint and step sequence XAML. So this step sequence XAML I'm calling in main. This is what means is meant by invoke workflow file. So I am in the main sequence. I'm calling this step sequence XAML through this activity called invoke workflow file. Okay. So initially on the log message, when I pressed step into, it just executed it, came to the next activity. But this step sequence is a set of, so if I open step sequence, you can see it contains multiple activities inside it. So when I press step into here, okay, what should be the next behavior? Should it open the step sequence and go to the very next activity, or it should come directly to the next activity here?
It goes inside step sequence.
Open and then go.
Exactly. So this is how it behaves. If you press step into again, right now you can see only main.xaml is opened, but if you press step into, it will actually go ahead and open that XAML and put you in the first sequence. Then here, if I press step into, again, first log message will get executed. Step into, this Excel will come. Step into inside activity. Next. So here again, like how the executor works is, from this activity, it goes to the next, but after this it has to, like the executor, how it behaves is it will go back to the parent first, and then after reaching the parent it can move to the next activity. Is it clear?
So if it is completed the step sequence activity down, it will come
Yes.
again back to the
Yeah,
invoker.
so
The
the above
activity.
activities will not be executed again. So after write cell was executed, you can see write cell. So that means I'm just writing test value here in test1.xlss. So test1.xlss was opened and test value got written here. Okay, now after writing it, when I press step into, it went back to do, and when I press step into, it will go back to Excel application scope, right? And then if I press step into, it will come back to the next activity, which is log message. So from write cell, it directly did not go to log message. So what I want to say here is, when your activity is inside a container, okay, so this is a container, right? So when you are executing an activity inside a container and you have reached the end of the container, the thing which happens is, after that, if no other activity is present, it will go first back to the top of the container, okay, and then move to the next activity. Understood? It's like you are coming through this path, okay, here you found a container, you went inside a container, okay, and then you have to go back up to that path and then go ahead to next steps. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So after the message, can you come down here?
Yeah,
It will
sure.
again
So
in this.
now this is not a container, this is a normal activity, so the
Yeah.
next path will continue, here.
At
Now
the end,
again, what is this? Yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so what is this now? Is it a sequence, right? So sequence is another container. So when I say container, what do you understand by container? Can anyone tell me?
It's kind of a storage.
That contains some activity.
Correct. So in studio terms, container will basically means a activity which can contain another activity, in simple words. So this sequence is a container because it contains another activity. This Excel scope is a container because it contains this inside activity, like write cell activity. Okay, so anything which can contain in activity inside it will be called a container. Now what kind of containers do we have in UiPath? First you will have a sequence, then you can have a flow chart, then you can have scope activities like attach window, Excel scope, attach browser. So within those kind of containers we can put in activities. So these are the containers available in UiPath. Okay, is it clear until here?
Yes.
So just a quick question, can anyone give me an example of a container? Which activity can be called a container?
Sequence.
Correct. Other example please.
An
Or
Excel activity.
Use
Yes,
Excel
and
file.
why use Excel file? Correct. And why will you call use Excel file a container?
You
Uh,
have other activities which dependent on it, like
You have other activities that you will put inside use
file.
Excel, right?
Yes.
So use
Yes.
Excel will be a container for the activities inside of it. Correct. So that's why we'll call use Excel as a container. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, fine. Next, so I'll just reiterate what we learned. Step into means go one activity at a time, but when it and when container comes up, it will go inside the container, like we saw here. We executed one activity at a time, but when this was a container, because this contains another activity, so it will open the container like it opened here, and it will start executing one by one the elements, the activities inside the container. Is this step into clear? One at a time, execute one at a time. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, now I'll teach you what step over is. Okay, right now you can see I am on a container. Okay, this is a container which contains two activities: log message. This is log message 4, this is log message 5. Okay, now if I press step into, what will happen? Tell me. If I press step into, what will happen?
Go to log message activity.
Log, then what will be printed? If I press step into once, what will be printed?
I think it won't print anything. It will first highlight that log message
Yes, it will
activity.
highlight that, but after
Yeah.
that,
Once if you press step into once again, then
mhm,
it prints the message
this is log message 4 will
Okay.
get printed.
here.
Correct?
Yes.
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 But this you understood. This is how step into behaves. But tell me how step over will behave here.
I think it skips that
It's
log
skip.
message once it is inside the inside sequence. If you're telling if it is already inside the executor, then it skips it.
Okay. Any other one? Anyone else wants to try?
It
It
it will
comes out
skip
of,
the
yeah.
next step. That is
It will
sub
skip.
the next step. If we are on
Uh,
inside sequence, it will directly print the log message instead of
Okay.
highlighting the log message.
Tell me something. I am here. Okay. The executor is here. Okay.
Yes.
If I press step into, everyone told me this is log message 4 will get printed. Correct? This is
Yes.
log message 4 will
Yes.
get
Yes.
printed if I press step into. But if I press step over, what will get printed?
It prints both
then
log message
then
4 and
this
5.
I think this print this log message 6. It skips the whole sequence.
Yeah, so it will not exactly skip. I'll go back to that mode. Okay, I'll just put it back here. Okay, so what it will do is it will step over, like it will not go inside. Step into steps inside the sequence, inside the container, but step over will not step inside the sequence. It will step over every activity. It will not go inside. Understood? That's the default behavioral change between step into and step over. Step over will also go one activity at a time. Step into will also go one activity at a time. But step into will go inside containers. But step over, if it finds containers, okay, it will not go inside. It will execute all the container. Now just focus here. The last message which is printed is log message 3. Correct? Now, if I press step over, both 4 and 5 got printed. It did not go inside. Okay, one by one. It just treated this whole thing as one activity. Next, if I press step over, it came here. Next, what now? Now this is not a container. How will step over behave? Tell me. This is not a container.
Yeah, even that activity gets completely, it moves
Executed.
to the next. Yeah, it goes to
Yeah,
the
so
log
here
message step
it will
sequence.
behave like step into.
Yes.
So if I press step into, this will get executed. Executor will come here. If I press step over, same thing will happen. It will come here. Correct? Because it was not a content, like there is nothing. So step over, again I'll repeat, step over and step into only differ in terms of container. Okay, both behaves. So if you start, I'll just comment this out. So we are in edit non read only mode, so I can't comment it. See, step into, step over, both will behave in same way, but one by one it will go. But the only difference is step over will not go inside any container. It will just execute whole of the container at once. Okay, here it did not go inside. This Excel scope, step over will not go inside. It will just execute everything and then go, let you go to the next activity. Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Others?
Yes.
Sindhu, clear?
No.
Okay, that's what that's why I asked. Okay, see, so you are confused about the action of step over, right?
Yeah.
Okay, step into you understood.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just stop the debug. Okay, I'll press step into once. Okay, now I press step into. Okay. So tell me, if I press step into, what will happen?
Log message will print.
This will
Step
get
sequence.
printed, right?
Yes. Yes.
And if I press step over, what will happen?
See, step over.
Is there anything to step over here? Is there a container here?
No,
This is a
no,
container. No. So both will
no.
behave same. So if I press
Okay.
step into, you know how it will happen. I'm just pressing step over. Same thing happened, right? It went to next
Yeah.
activity.
Yes.
But here, when the executor comes, it is a container, right?
Container.
Because it
Yes.
contains activities inside of it.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Now here,
Yes.
the both will be different. Behavior of both will be different. If I press step into, correct, what will happen? The executor will come inside do and then write cell one by one. I need to press step into, step into, step into. Correct. But if
Yes.
I press step over, it will not go inside. Like it will execute, but it will not allow you to go one by one. It will
Yes.
open Excel, execute everything, and then come back here. Now, if you press step over, it will again come back to this next activity. Correct. Here,
Yes.
is it a container?
No.
Correct. So step into, step over will behave same. Correct.
Same.
Again, not a container, same. Again, a container. So if I press step into, what will happen? The activity inside of it will get printed. But the executor will come here, then again step into, executor will come here. But if at this point I had pressed step over, what would have happened? This log message 4 and 5 would have got printed. Okay. And
Yes.
the executor would already be at this point where it is currently. It would not allow you to go one by one inside. Correct.
Yes.
Clear.
Yes. Got it.
Now that we are here, what will step out do? Tell me,
It will
everyone.
out of debug.
Right.
It will go to end and
Yeah, step
Out of
out.
the container.
Exactly. Step out of container. Step into means go into. Step over means skip the container. Step out means go out of container. Right. So
Very
if I
confused.
press step out, okay, see here. Is this a container?
yeah.
This is a sequence. It is a container. It contains activities, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if I press step out, just focus here. If I press step out, it will go to the outer container, just the parent container. It will go out to the parent container. So what will happen is, at this point, if I press step out, it will execute all the remaining activities. Okay. And it will come out to step sequence. You can see 5, 6 log 6 got printed and step sequence ended. Understood. I'll repeat that again for you guys. I'll just
It's
repeat step into step. Haha.
it's noisy. I think there's someone has
Okay.
unmuted. Someone has
Uh,
unmuted their mic, I believe.
I think Manikanta
Right now,
use.
Yeah,
Okay.
right now it's fine. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So I'll just repeat it again quickly. Step into, go one activity at a time. Okay. And go inside the container as well. Step into the container. If you find a container, go inside a container. Again, go one at a time. The activity is inside container. Step over means, if it is a normal activity, just behave normally. But if it is a container, don't go inside, step over the container. Execute everything at once inside the container and just go outside. You don't go one by one. Step out means, wherever you are, go to the execute everything else and go to the outer container. Okay.
Can you show that
So
for the step out? With
yeah.
practice?
So step into. So show you step out, I need to step into, right? So this is a container which I am stepping into. I stepped into this container, correct? Stepped into, right? Now if I press step out, you can see right now only this step sequence started 1 2 3 was printed, right? And every other log message, these activities are yet to be executed. But what I thought was, I don't want to go inside one by one. I'm done with the sequence. I just want to go out. Now I just execute everything quickly. I don't want to go one by one. So I just press step out. Whatever was, it will just go back to the parent container. How? By executing everything completely. It executed everything, transferred the control back to the parent container. Okay. Step out of the container. Correct?
So
Parent invoke
uh,
workflow, right?
Yeah. Now after next when I go, it will come here. So just one more click was needed. I mean, yeah, just 1 second. If I press step into here, I'm going inside this main sequence, going one activity at a time. Again, going inside of the container, which is step sequence, going inside of this container, going inside of this container, pressed step out, executed everything, control transfer to the container just outside of the activity, then press step out again, came here, and then if I press step out again, whatever was below it will get executed, and the container, the executor control will flow to the parent container, and if nothing else is there, the activity will stop, the executor will stop. Right? It's simple. I'll just repeat it again, guys. Step into one activity at a time. You see, again, one activity at a time. Only this is important. Rest all is very simple. Okay. Step into one activity at a time. This everyone understood. One activity at a time. Step over. I don't want to go inside. I don't want to press step into again and again. I just want to go here. I just want to see in detail what happens here. Okay. So let's say I am executing this main sequence. My executor is here, but I'm suspecting some error in this workflow. Correct? So I don't want to keep on pressing step into every time. Other, it will take too much time. So I just want to skip, not skip, I just want to come quickly to this workflow, right? So I know this is a container, so I'll just step over this container. So whatever was so since there is a breakpoint, I'll need to toggle it should, like, since it was, I'll just press step over, everything got executed. Okay, and then it's fine, right? And next I press step over, it comes to the next activity. Again, it is a container. Okay, I need to go in detail, so I'll press step into. I'm going into detail. I need to see about this activity, how this behaves. So press step into. Now I need to see the activity inside of it, the how it behaves, right? So tell me, at this point of time, we are here, the executor is here, and I need to check the behavior of this activity. So what should I press out of these three
Step
to
into.
achieve that?
step into.
Step into.
Everyone agrees with that?
We can go with step
Yes.
into, step over to. It does the same, right? For that
No,
inside activity.
yeah, because what I mentioned here, the keyword is I need to check the behavior, like I need to stop here. Correct? I need to stop at this activity.
Then step
So
into. Yeah.
yeah, so step into will be needed. Correct? Because then only I'll step into the container. Correct? Sindhu, is it clear?
Yes.
And Krishnendu?
Step into.
Okay, cool. So next, and step out, you also understood, right? Step out, currently my executor is here. If I press step out, it will execute everything else, and control will be like it will basically complete everything else, and control will come back to the parent container. Okay, to move forward to next activities. Okay,
Okay,
fine.
if we go to the retry
Mhm.
breakpoint, click here step over.
Step over, sorry. So it will try to attach to that browser, right now the element is not open, so it's trying to find that element and it will give you an error. Okay, you wanted something specific?
Yes, then go to the, then run it again, not here.
Okay, I should run it again.
Yes.
Okay, 1 second. Yes, next.
Next step into.
Step into. Okay, like which part do you need to see? Attach browser part?
No, no, no. We are in a step sequence, right?
Correct.
Then press step over.
Okay. Next.
I just wanted to know that when we are inside the step sequence, sorry, let me open that.
Yeah, so I'm inside step sequence then.
So inside step sequence, when we are in Excel application scope, okay, our executor. Then if we press step over, then all under the container step sequence, all will execute it, and
Correct.
the executor go to the step sequence, right?
Executor will go to the next activity. Step over. It just stepped over this container to the next
Oh, sorry.
activity.
Then step out. Sorry,
Step out will go to the step sequence, and then after that it will come out, like come out to the calling sequence.
Okay, now I'm saying when I'm inside the step sequence, but I am right now at Excel application scope, and then I press step out, then all step sequence all will execute it, and the
Correct.
executor
Yes.
go to the step sequence, right?
Correct.
If I press step into, then what will happen?
It will go to the next activity. See, I think this
it
is
will
where you
go to
guys
the
are
next.
getting confused. Yeah. So see, basically you don't focus how it goes back. Like I told you initially, when you, here is a straight path, okay, and here is a container in between. When you are coming from here, you go inside a container. Okay. So here is your main.xaml in this line. Okay, now from main.xaml you go inside step sequence, a container. Correct. It has activities. Now you go one activity at a time. But when you are done with each activity, when you have reached the bottom of the container, okay, you need to go back to main, right? So the only the control flows goes to top. It will not re-execute every activity. No, it will not re-execute every activity. Execution is done one way, and then only the control flows back to top again from where it was, to the top of the container, which was the step sequence, and then from there it will go ahead to the next activity, which is here, this activity.
Okay, I got it.
Clear?
Clear.
Sorry. Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
So what I understood, like while Krishnendu was asking, suppose if you're inside the step sequence, if you step into, can you please do step into? And somewhere here in the Excel application, so when he press step out, right, it goes to the parent, that is the executor will go stop in the step sequence at the beginning. Correct?
Correct.
So then if you press step into, what happens? So but you gave already a understanding of the bottle in bottle out, so I understood in that pattern. So
yeah,
if you
see,
press step
I'll
into,
tell
what
you.
happens there if the
Yes,
executor is there? Yeah,
I'll tell you. So everybody focus on this part and the doubts will be cleared. Okay, I'm on the main sequence. I press step into. Okay, so as usual, if I press step into, this got executed. I press step into again, executor came here. Press step into again, it went inside the container. Press step into again, it went inside. Now step over, you all clear about. It will just execute the container, move to next activity, right? Sorry, I press step into. Step over I'll do, it will not go inside, and then step over, right? Then this is how you know. Now if you step out, Okay, like I said, it will go, control will flow back to the top of the container. So step out, everything got executed, control flow went back. But remember, from here, we were in main, we pressed step into, we went inside the container, and each of the container activities are done when we press step out. So when we press step out from inside the sequence, the last thing, which is step sequence ended, this log got printed. Okay, we are done with everything when we press step out, and control flows goes back to the top of the container. Now if I press step into, you see I am back to the calling page, and if I press step into, I'll go back to the normal calling page path.
Thank you.
Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I think this was where you were getting confused. Thanks for asking. Fine. Next, it's now everything else is very, very simple. Okay, I'll just go step
Actually, I
into.
have a question before
Yeah,
that.
tell me.
Suppose my control is on main sequence, not going the inside the workflow. If I
Okay,
step out, if I directly click on step out, so
in main
will it,
sequence.
yeah. So
Okay,
clicking on step out will do the complete workflow or not?
see, now you will answer this. We are here, executor is here. Okay, and let's
Yes,
say it was executing main process start, it only the first log at executor, or maybe the executor is here itself, and you press step out. Now what I said, step out will do what? It will transfer the flow to the, like it will
parent,
execute everything and go back to parent.
parent, yeah.
Correct. So is there any parent of main?
No,
No.
No.
Right, so everything in main will be executed, and since there is nothing more to execute, the workflow will stop.
okay,
Clear?
got it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, now retry. Okay, I'm going inside the attached browser, I'm going inside. Okay, so I am just trying to, you can see the selector here. Okay, I'm just trying to attach to a Google search page. Okay, Google search page I'm trying to attach to, but is the Google page available? No, I have closed it, right? So it will fail. Correct, it will fail. Maybe I have given some wrong time. Yeah, while it is looking for it, okay, and it takes some time to look for it, and after that it will fail. Okay, so I'll just tell you what this focus means. Okay, this focus you see here, focus, it means wherever you have, wherever the error happen, let's say at this point error happens. Okay, and what you do is you to see something else, you come to some another sequence at some another place, and then you press focus. What will happen is your view will come back to where it was faulted. Okay, I'll show it to you. Okay, so it did not find it. Okay, so it did not find the Google page, right? So since it did not find the Google page, what I want to do, okay, so I have couple of options here. Tell me what it will do. What will retry do?
Re-execute.
Yeah, it will re-execute what?
That particular activity.
Activity.
This
Yeah.
particular activity. That is correct. Okay, next, if I press ignore, what will happen now?
Ignore the error.
Ignore the activity.
And since it will ignore this activity, since this is the scope which failed, okay, and if we ignore this, that means this control will just flow to the next activity. It will treat as nothing, it was nothing happened here. It will ignore this activity altogether, come to next activity. Clear? And restart, what will restart do?
I think it will reset everything, activities, whatever it is pointing.
Yes, it will restart from the first activity, that is from the main dot sequence. It will restart everything, restart debugging again. Okay, is these 3 points clear? Retry, ignore, restart. Clear?
Yes,
Retry will retry that same activity, right?
Yes, retry will retry. So if I press retry, it is retrying the same activity again. Again
Okay.
looking for google.com. Okay.
Okay.
And ignore, if I had pressed ignore, it would have ignored this. It would have skipped this activity and went to the next activity. Restart, if I press, it will restart from main.sequence. You can see it restarted from main.sequence, main sequence. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's say I put a breakpoint. Now there is something which I need to tell you about a breakpoint. Do you does everyone knows about breakpoint?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Pradyuman,
So
sorry.
mhm.
Is everything, I mean, that's it about the retry or the ignore? Because in what scenarios we do ignore? Suppose here you're attaching the browser, right? So the next flow requires the browser to be open, and if we ignore, like in what scenarios we use this
Okay,
ignore? Yeah.
good question. Actually, see, it it uh, in normal work in your actual enterprise level applications, okay, depending upon scenarios, you will need to throw exceptions. Okay, let's say you have put an element exists activity, and there, if element does not exist, throw this kind of exception. You have entered a throw keyword, and then depending upon the business logic, you need to act accordingly. But sometimes what will happen is you will just to test the remaining thing. So let's say you were executing your workflow, and then your executor stopped there at an activity. Okay, now that activity is something which might be present at times, might not be present at times. Okay, so you just you add, and you have to test the remaining activities after the activities after that. So what you do is you just ignore that error. So the activity which gave error will be ignored, and to allow you to test the other parts, it will just flow execute like give the control to the next activity. Otherwise, if this feature would not have been given, then unless this issue was solved, you will not be able to test the next activities.
Got it. When there is no dependent of data, like we can
Yes,
ignore that particular invoke or the
correct.
calling, whatever we are doing, and we can proceed with the rest. Thank you.
Right. And let's say now every I was talking about breakpoint. So what breakpoints mean is breakpoint means if let's say how to give a breakpoint. First, right click on the activity and toggle breakpoint. Okay, right click on the activity, toggle breakpoint. Is it clear to everyone how to give a breakpoint? So initially the breakpoint was not there, so I just enabled the breakpoint. Now similarly I can disable the breakpoint. Now I'll just remove the third toggle, will remove the breakpoint altogether. Now I'll enable the breakpoint again. Okay,
We cannot hear you.
I think we lost you, Pradyuman. We can't hear you.
You're not audible, Pradyuman.
yes, right. Okay, clear.
Yes, clear.
Okay, fine. So going back to where I was. Yes. So let's say now generally the enterprise applications will not be this small. Okay, it will be big applications, and obviously you cannot just keep on going step into step out step over in every step. Okay, so let's say you are dealing with this application. Now these all activities will work. Okay, what you need to focus on is what does your application do when it reaches here. Okay, at this point. So what you'll do is just open this XAML, right click on this activity, toggle breakpoint. I have already enabled the breakpoint here, and then I maybe if even if you close all this, and then I debug. So what will happen is everything will get executed normally. Okay, until the point executor reaches there, and there it will stop you and enable all these activities for you. Okay, now here from this step directly you can do step into step over whatever you wanted to do. This is what breakpoint is used for. Is it clear? I'll repeat it again. You don't it is a big application. You don't want to go step into, if you start going step into one by one or step over step out, it might take time. It might take a lot of time to reach the place where you have to do the actual debugging, where you think the error is coming up. Okay, so what UiPath provides you with is called breakpoint. Okay, you just go to that activity, right click on that activity, toggle the breakpoint. That means I have enabled the breakpoint here. This is how the breakpoint is indicated. Now you just debug. So everything will be executed. Keep on, everything will be executed until the that activity, and there it will be paused. Okay, now from here you can just press step into one by one and see the activities in detail, how it behaves. Clear?
Yes.
Anyone who did not understand?
So if we give a breakpoint means it will be directly go to that activity and then execute, right?
Yeah, so like the name suggests, the breakpoint, the breakpoint is here on attached browser. And then when I press debug, everything will run smoothly. It will go on running one after another without you pressing anything. Okay, and then it will break at that particular activity. And then from there you can step over everything. Okay.
Okay, understood.
Fine. Now let's say my activity is stopped here. Like where is that? Like my activity is here, right? So I'll show you. So from here you see you can check the breakpoints panel. Okay. So one more thing. So here the activity failed, right? Let's say while it has failed, I'm checking some another things. Okay. And then since it was a big workflow, I forgot where the actual error happened. So I'll just press focus. When I pressed focus, my view came back directly here. I'll state that. Let's say the error happened here. It is a big workflow in enterprise. You went to other workflows to see what happened there. Okay. And then since there are multiple XAMLs, you forgot, you don't have time to just look into where it was, where it failed. Okay, so what you do is just press focus and it will come back to the place where it had failed. Okay, clear?
Exact activity, it will come and show here it failed, right? Focus.
Yes, correct. So
Okay.
while in debug, so you are still in debug. Remember, I have not exited the debug mode. Here it has failed. Okay, but uh, you had to check something else as well. So you came to some another XAML. Okay, you are still in debug mode, but then you have to go back directly to the place where it failed. So you press focus and it will go directly there, and then you press step over and or retry, ignore, whatever you want to do. Okay, maybe check some parameters. I'll tell you about that. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah.
Focus
Okay.
means it's focused on where the error comes or where I put the breakpoint.
See it. I'll remove the breakpoint just to give you the. So actually it behaves both ways. Okay, I disable the toggle. I'll disable the breakpoint here. I go to main. Okay, so now I open. So how do I check if my workflow has breakpoints or not? By clicking show breakpoints panel. Okay, so here what it shows me is on this log message. I double click here and it will open this. So here I have a disabled breakpoint. So from here I can directly choose to enable or disable or remove breakpoint. Okay, so this is the breakpoint panel which will show you the list of all the places where you have breakpoint. Okay, now coming back to your question. Okay, see, this is a place where I give breakpoint. Okay, in step sequence itself. Okay, and now I press debug. So it will execute everything before that and stop here. Correct. Now let's say I had to check something else. I came back here. Okay, now if I press focus, it will go there. So wherever the execution is pending, okay, so where the thing would be, wherever the execution is like executor is present last, it will go there. Okay, so here the executor was, okay, when we switch to other workflows. So if you press focus, it will bring your focus back to where the executor was. Okay,
and also where the error comes, means
yeah, so
where
obviously you should remember where the executor was. Okay, because
executor
in,
was.
yes, in case of error, the executor will be there itself, because the executor will be pointing to that error itself, because the error had come up and the break workflow is paused there. Okay, so
Okay.
in case of error, executor will be there itself, but in case of breakpoint, the executor can be at the breakpoint. So the better answer would be focus will bring you back to the place where the executor is. Okay,
Okay. Yeah. Understood.
I
Can we
told you about,
delete
uh-huh.
all the breakpoints as you showed from the breakpoints panel
Yeah,
at a
sure.
once? Whatever we have set, we can delete all, right?
Yeah, so this is the breakpoints panel. I'll just, so this is the activity, delete all breakpoints. Okay, just click here, delete all breakpoints. Okay,
Okay, and it'll also have the list of the breakpoints, right? Where and all it has set, and we
correct.
can
Let's
click
say
on it
I
and it will
have,
goes to everything.
yes, I add breakpoints in this workflow, and I add breakpoints here in this workflow. So I added 3 to 5 breakpoints, 4 breakpoints. I go to breakpoints panel, I'll see all 4. Okay, I can select one and enable disable them. Okay, I can just select one, like maybe I think one was enabled. One second, I'll tell about this later. So so it is, it does behave, it works on all at a time. I don't know why this is behaving like this. So one by one you can click and toggle from here itself. Okay, otherwise if you need to delete everything, you can select these 3 options: enable all at a time, disable all at a time, and delete all at a time. Individually you need to click here to enable disable. Okay,
Thank you.
okay,
I have a question.
yeah,
Yeah, our control flow is on inside sequence.
uh-huh.
Then if I hover on that black arrow, we can see no condition defined. So what does that mean?
No condition defined. Yeah, so what it means is I am on this inside sequence breakpoint, right? Inside sequence breakpoint. So if you see this settings, okay, if you see the settings, this is the condition it is talking about. Okay, so here, let's say how to use it, I'll tell you. Okay, let's say you are executing a for each loop. You are executing a for each loop, and your you need to focus on the execution where the counter variable reaches 98. Okay, you need to see how the workflows behaves when index equals to 98. Okay, let's say, because let's say it was supposed to stop at 98, or it was supposed to print a message when is equals to 98. Okay, so basically the situation here is you are executing a for each loop, and you need to focus on how how the workflow behaves when counter, the for loop counter is equals to 98. Okay, so you can't press keep on pressing step into 98 times, executing all activity at a time. If you press step over, it will execute all for loop at once, correct? So you can't do
Yeah.
all of that. So here comes the condition. What you will do is, at that point, at inside the for each loop, you will put a breakpoint. Okay, and then you will go to the breakpoint setting, and here in the condition, let's say I'm here I'm creating a variable. Okay, I'll stop it. um, I'll stop the code. So let's say I'm creating a variable called int underscore counter. Okay, and I'll put it int. Next, let's say this was the for each loop where I put the breakpoint. Okay, this was the for each loop where I put breakpoint. Now or there is another way to do it. Just right click and edit breakpoint settings. You can access the settings directly as well. Right click and edit breakpoint settings. Okay, so I come here and I give the condition to, so what the condition I'll give is int counter equals to 98. Okay, and press OK. Just focus again. What I have given is int counter equals to 98, the condition what I have given. Okay, so what will happen is the way it looks, the way breakpoint looks will change. Now I have added a condition to breakpoint. So how does breakpoint normally behave? It will stop the wherever, so when the code comes at that particular activity, it will stop there, it will pause there, right? This is how breakpoint behaves. But in case of conditional breakpoints, it will only pause if the condition is true. That means for all, until the count in your for each loop, until the counter was 97, it will not pause. But as soon as the counter reaches 98, okay, at that point it will pause and allow you to step over everything. Clear? This is how you define condition. Right click, edit breakpoint settings, define on which condition you will put the breakpoint, and then only at that particular, when that particular condition is true, your element, your executor will pause here. Otherwise it will treat it as there was no breakpoint altogether. Clear?
Yes, yes, clear.
Fine. So other things are very simple. Breakpoints I told you. Slow step means you can see 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x. A very small thing is getting written here, 4x. So 4x is the fastest and 1x is the slowest way to execute. So slow step means executing your workflow in slow mode. Okay, that means if I press debug now, same things will happen but in slow way. Same execute will activities will execute but in a slower way. It will take time for them to execute. So one by one these are executing. Okay, so you can see. Now what I'll do is I'll stop it, and just to enable visualization for you, I'll click on execution trail. Okay, so what execution trail does is whatever activity got executed, okay, that will be ticked with a green. You will see a green tick beside that activity, whatever activity ran. Okay, and now I am running the workflow, like debugging the workflow. So you will see it will start from main.sequence. Here this got executed, this is executing, executed, next activity executing, executed, this is executing, done, this is executing, done. You see, this is happening because I enabled execution trail. It is showing you trail of whatever it is executing. Okay, clear? And all this is going super slow because I have enabled slow step 1x. So 1x is the slowest way to observe how the things are going. Okay, clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay.
So what
Next,
is the difference between 4x and off?
4x 4x means it is still slow compared to the normal execution speed. Off means it will execute normally, like in like we were doing in the beginning without any delay. But 4x it will add delays between each activity. Okay,
Okay.
fine. Execution trail will give you these execution trail. See, if this got executed, it will be green checked. If this is executing, you will see this icon. If nothing, if the next activities are yet to execute, you will not see anything because they are yet to execute. Okay, highlight elements, this one. Highlight elements means when you are executing an activity, okay, when you are executing an activity, you will, let's say I open Google search. Okay, let's say I open this. Okay, so this will come handy when you are working with UI elements. Okay, so in this case, I have a UI element activity here. Okay, so what my code will do is type in here and get a response. Okay, so I'll just enable slow step 1. Okay, and then debug my workflow. And also this time, so you can see earlier how the log message was getting printed. All the log, specifically log messages what we had given were getting printed, like 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? So whatever we had specifically given, those log messages were getting printed. Now this time I have enabled highlight element and I have enabled log activities. Okay, and we'll see how it behaves. So when the executor comes to this part where it will type in here, na, you will see it will highlight this UI element where it is typing. Yeah, it is there almost. Okay, did I make some mistake? And I think I gave a wrong selector, but no worries. Basically what it will do is it is supposed to type here. So this will be highlighted. This element will be highlighted, and 1 second. Okay, let's take this later. Basically you understood what it means, right? Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, Apurva so does this highlighted elements in UI activity and
Yes,
UI
yes.
automation.
Ha. Okay, cool. So next part is continue on exception. So what this means is, if I press continue on exception, let's say we know that this activity is failing, right? But we don't want it to stop there. So normally when you are debugging, what happens is as soon as you activity throws an error, the debugger will pause there, right? The executor will pause there. But if you press continue on exception, it will not pause. It will continue and behave execute the next logic. So after failing, what is the next logic? So that will get executed. Okay, so if you had put it in TryCatch, the catch block will get executed and it will continue forward. If the error was not handled, it will propagate the error and stop. Okay, this is how continue on exception works.
A question on highlight element.
Sorry.
I have a question on highlight element. So that will
Highlight
work
element, yeah.
only. Yeah, so that will work only if we have UI automation. Right? There are
Correct,
some
correct.
like,
It will work only if you have UI automation.
okay. And I just get log activities.
Yeah, one
Log
second.
activities.
Yeah, I'll tell you. 1 second.
Okay.
So so in the previous run, I had enabled log activities. Okay, so what it did was, initially you remember I showed you only the messages which I was printing specifically were getting printed, right? Log message 6, log message 5 and everything. But this time, so see how it is looking. This time it logged each and every activity which is executing. So what it means is the executor started, sorry, the executor started here. 1 second. Executor started here, okay, in main sequence. So this is your output. This is what your output shows. Okay, main executing, main process. So next activity log was printed. Next log message start executing. log message step sequence like this. So each activity, whatever it is executing one by one, it is logging it. Start and close, start and close, like write cell executing, write cell close, do executing, do closed, Excel test opened, opened, scope closed. This is how it shows you. So each activity is getting logged, which activity is executing. Is it clear?
Yeah. So even if you don't have the specific log message activity, the highlight select that element, that will be automatically logged.
Yeah, it logs the
Okay.
activity start and stop. Correct. Whatever activity is there, it will log the start and stop. And highlight elements means if you are working with UI based elements, okay, it will highlight the elements that you are dealing, the UI elements that it is currently dealing with. Suppose you are typing into element, it will highlight that type into that particular element, and then it will type it there. Okay.
Yes.
And these three, like the remaining parts, are not very useful for you guys. It is something important. Picture in picture means it will execute it in a separate session. Okay. That is handy where, let's say you are running an attended automation and you need your system, you need to work on your system, plus you need to work on plus you need the robot to do its job as well. So you'll run the robot in picture mode, and what it will do is it will create a session in parallel to your existing session, and it will execute everything in that session, and you will be able to work on your session normally like you were. Okay. Remote debugging means you will need to configure it to do these exact same steps, do all these steps either running or debugging, okay, on a remote server, just on a remote server. Okay, you'll do the same things, you'll be able to do the same things on a remote server. Okay. And this is this you don't need right now. Open logs, if you click, just it will open the folder path. You don't need to go deeper into this right now. It will just open the folder path where the UiPath logs are getting stored. This is clear? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So do you use remote debugger in real time?
Yes, you will not require it oftenly, frankly speaking, but there might be scenarios when you need to so basically I'll tell you when you will need it. Okay. So let's say I developed my workflow on this machine, okay, on this system with certain settings and all, but I need to run when the robot needs to run on a separate machine which has separate settings, which has different kinds of settings, and it is not possible to change the settings to what we have here. Okay. So what we will do is we'll run remote debugging, and we'll run this exact same code on that machine, and we'll debug it and see how it works, and try to rectify the errors. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And sorry guys, I know I'm running late. Can you guys allow me 10 more minutes?
And sorry
Yes.
to come again. The profile execution, what is it?
Yeah, profile execution, you don't need it right now, just ignore it
Okay.
for now. It is not it you guys have nothing to do with it at this point of time. It's completely something separate. Okay.
Okay.
And even about open logs, you don't need to go deeper into what logs it is generating,
I think
because all
they
you
have
need to,
covered in yesterday's session.
yeah, I mean in this session, this you don't need to basically go deeper in your, frankly speaking, in your
No, I said yesterday they have covered it. I mean, they,
yeah
yeah.
in I know I was there actually, but in yesterday's session, what you were told about is what these logs are and why
Yeah.
these got generated. But what I'm trying to tell you is, in your normal day-to-day life, okay, you will not generally open these logs. Okay. All you will be caring about is this output, what your code is generating and the error your code is generating. Okay. So yes, you need to know, but I mean, you will not be using it very oftenly, frankly speaking. You will be
Okay.
focused on this output logs.
And one last thing, like the other person was asking about the remote debugging. Do we need to do any pre-configurations or anything?
Correct,
Establish a
correct.
connection for it?
Yes, we need to do it. So like the connection type, you can like you can see the drop down itself tells you to configure remote debugging. Okay, and when you see the drop down, either you can do it on an unattended machine or a remote machine. Okay, so when you click on unattended robot, you'll need to select the user, like on which user. So these things need to be configured actually. So either it should be a remote machine or an unattended robot connected. So yeah, the main thing is it has to be connected to orchestrator because it takes the links from the orchestrator. Okay,
Thank you.
yeah. So yes, this is what the main thing is, the debug panel. Okay, but apart from that, what I would like to show you is when you start the debug. Okay, when you start the debug, there are certain panels which you see. Okay, so I have started the debug, and here you see I have certain panels: locals, watch, immediate, and breakpoints, call stack, output. 6 panels which I had talked about earlier, right? So I'll just tell you what these are. So if you can see here, locals panel basically will show you all the values of your variables and arguments, all the current values of your variables and arguments which is there in this scope. Okay, so for example, I'll go inside step sequence dot step sequence. Okay, I go inside here, and here in this workflow I had defined int counter. Okay, and had not given any value. So in this locals panel, you can see int counter is showing value 0, which is the default value for an integer. Int counter. Okay, so locals panel shows you the value of the variables and arguments. Okay, and the good thing is while debugging, let's say I have to debug this, but I have to debug this with int counter equals to 2. So I can even change this to 2. Okay. When I press 2, it will get changed to 2. And when I press step into, the next activity will be executing with counter equals to 2. So this is where it comes handy. Okay. You might have understood what power it has, right? So while debugging your code, let's say you need to check your code on how it behaves when a particular string is null. Okay, so what you do is you edit that variable in locals and you change it to null. Okay, so if it was a string, it will allow you to change it to null. Okay, and then once you have set it to null, you will be able to test it, and that particular activity will run with null value. Is it clear?
Yes.
This is the power of locals panel. It allows you to set the variable values and shows you the variable value. Watch panel is again the same thing, but let's say you are working with a for each loop. Okay, so before watch panel, I'll tell you immediate panel. So immediate panel is something where you can check the value of a variable or a particular value of a particular variable on an expression. Let's say I need to check the current value of int counter. Okay, so I just write int counter and it will give me the value. But since this value was already available here, is the need for immediate? First thing is you can check in any particular values directly. Otherwise, the main thing here is you can check the resultant you can check some expressions as well. So int counter dot, let's say dot as text or something. So you can even check how the result of an expression on the current variable. So this is what it will return. So locals panel is directly showing you the variables as it is, but in immediate you can watch like you can check the value of expressions, and same thing in a better way you can check in watch. So basically you are in a for each loop, let's say, and you need to check an expression. Okay, every time that loop is getting executed in every iteration. So in each iteration you will not keep on entering int show me int count, int count, int count. So instead what you will do is you will put that int counter in watch. So every time the loop executes, whatever is the value in that particular iteration, that will keep on updating here automatically. Okay, clear? Yes. So this is what I wanted to show you mainly. And breakpoints panel I have already shown you. Call stack is nothing. Call stack is basically, it shows you the execution. The call stack just shows you the things which have got executed, the container level information. So currently step sequence is executing, so that got shown up next, and the log, the current activity which is executing. So container, the previous containers and the activity. So previous container was step sequence and then log message. Again press step into. So what was, so container is step sequence and the current activity. Again here something got changed. So here with right cell, the first container was step sequence, then came the next container which is Excel scope, then came the next container which is do, and then the activity. So this is what call stack shows. Okay, so that's all about it. And
Pratyuman,
uh-huh,
here you said about the watch and the immediate.
immediate, correct.
Yeah, but in the beginning of the session, you said none of the code or the process won't be ineditable when we are running in the breakpoint, right? I mean, sorry, debugging mode. So
Correct.
can we go inside and check the expressions, or is it the only place in the immediate where we can see the particular expressions or anything if they have written? Only there
So
we
go
can see.
inside means where? Go change
In the
something in code?
containers, yeah, in the containers also we
No,
can.
in
Yeah,
code nothing can be edited. That's
yeah,
why let's say you had given a regex expression here
yeah.
to check how to get a particular match. Okay, but your regex did not give you a perfect match. Okay, so what you do is in the debug mode itself, okay, what you do is you go to immediate tab, use
Okay.
the same regex expression, just change it and see with that particular value how your new regex behaves. Again do some changes, and once after doing changes you have got the required response, you copy that regex, keep it handy, stop your code, and then edit the container.
Okay, we cannot change, but we can see the expressions, right? At least inside the
Yeah,
activity, what has
expression
been.
value, yes, you can
Yeah.
see, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, so that's it mostly. Only one thing so before, don't leave yet guys, there is a quiz and a prize waiting. Just last thing, on any activity which you click, these three things will come up: test activity, run from this activity, run to this activity. Now you guys will tell me what these three things will do. It will be very simple.
It'll
What
run
will
to the
run to this
point.
activity will do?
It'll run to the point where suppose we keep a breakpoint and it'll run up to that activity.
Yeah, so exactly, it does not relate to a breakpoint, but if let's say I right click on this activity and
Yeah.
say run to this activity, that means whatever was before this all will get executed, and the executor will come here and pause. Okay, so whatever was there earlier, so before this whatever was there, this got executed and this got executed, Excel got executed, and then it stopped here. Run to this activity. Okay, this is how it behaves. Now similarly, tell me how run from this activity will behave.
It will start from the
Run up
selected
the time.
control flow to till the end.
Exactly. And how will test activity behave?
It will test the specific activity.
Yeah, test activity means it will just test that particular activity, nothing before that, nothing after that. So since I have just tested this log message, this will just print this is log message 2 and stop, nothing else. I just tested one activity. Clear? These three are clear?
On one question on the run from the activity. So
Sure,
if
sure.
it depends on any of the variable which is set or assigned in the prior activities, so what it will take there?
So could you repeat that? Your voice was not clear.
I'm asking about the run from this activity. So it will not run the previous activities and start from there, right?
Yeah, it will start
So
from
in
that
case,
particular activity. Correct.
yeah. So my question is, in case if there are some variables or something is set assigned prior to that activity, which is required in this activity. So what will happen to those in this scenario?
Okay, so I'll just show you something. If you right click on run from this activity, it does not immediately start running. You see, when I clicked run from this activity, what happened? It enabled the debug panel for you. Now you get the option to continue and then it will start running. Correct? So here you're coming back to your question. When you press run from this activity, what happens to the previously defined variables? So when you're running from this activity, UiPath expects you to go to locals panel, set the values of those variable which will be needed next, and then press continue.
Okay, so those will be provided by us only, whatever is required.
Yes, since you did not
Okay,
run the
okay.
previous activity, UiPath will not know what the values of the variables are. Correct? So since you're directly
Okay, got
running
it, got it.
from this activity, you will have to set the values manually and then press continue. Okay?
Or is that be a scenario like if that particular activity got failed and we are debugging, and already there are the earlier steps is already it has worked well. We just want to go back from there and run from there. In that scenario also we can use this, right? Run from
Yeah,
there.
but in any case, the thing here is, let's say in next let's say this is a flow chart. This is a activity which has a variable which was set somewhere earlier in the workflow, right? But since you did not run the previous workflow, you just started your activity from here. Okay, so in that case,
Yeah.
UiPath will need that value of that
Yes.
variable, right? So you have to set that manually first and then run. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just bring this quiz up. You guys scan it and let me know if you are in. You just scan it quickly. I'll just copy paste the link as well in chat. And the code is, I've just pasted it in chat as well. I'll open the scanner. Meanwhile, just go to Menti. So guys, while you are joining the quiz, I hope you understood the points mentioned today. If not, any confusion, at the end of the session, I'll just ping my LinkedIn ID as well. Feel free to ping me on LinkedIn and I'll be able to respond back to you. So 16 players have joined. Others, please join quickly. I'll give you 20 seconds more. Either scan this code or go through that link and put that code. Think I can start. Should I start? Okay. Starting question number 1 on your screens. Exactly. So most of you are correct. Step into executes the current activity and moves to the next one. Okay, it does not jump any activity, it does not skip current activity, and it does not pauses as well. Okay, checking the leaderboard. Ram MS is the fastest. Let's see. Next question. Ready? On your screens. During debugging, if you want to stop the debugging process immediately, stop the debugging immediately. Okay, correct. The correct answer is stop. Break, what break does is it will pause it. It will not stop it immediately. No, it will pause it. It will not stop it. Dev Agarwal is now on top. Question 3. Very simple.
Pradyuman, we need some googly.
Sorry.
We need some googly questions.
No, everyone is tired today. No googly questions. Okay, I think I don't need to explain this. All you need to do is right click on activity and click set breakpoint. Sachin, good. With every question, we have a new topper. So everyone is participating well.
Iman, it says unexpected error while loading the
Where?
puzzle quiz.
Can you refresh the page?
It's already.
Is it for everyone?
It's already went off.
No.
Might be some network issue was there for you. I'm so sorry.
Shit.
But don't worry, like you were good throughout the session. So I think you understood it well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. Quiz is just a part of the life.
I just pressed and it says you didn't vote.
No problem. But you will still be able to answer the next question. I think this was the last one, right? Let's see.
Yeah. I think
Wow.
I'm out.
Again,
Okay. Can you please turn on your window, Lakshuma? This was the last question, right? Oh no, one question is pending. Sorry. Okay, you guys didn't tell me.
It will be game changer.
What is the purpose of using watch feature? The last thing I told in the code in presentation. Great. Okay, sorry. I will show you the correct option. Yes, to observe the value of specific variables during runtime. That is correct. So watch is to observe the values of a variable or expression during runtime. It has nothing to do with speed. It has nothing to do with the number of breakpoint nor the custom activities. Okay, fine. Who is the final winner? Shubham Konar, please come on video. Shubham Corner, can we have you on video, please?
Shubham, are you there?
Who is Shubham Corner?
Yeah, I am there.
Okay.
Come on.
I have just a connection issue here. Yeah.
Okay, no worries, no worries. You would have missed your prize, bro, if you wouldn't have responded.
Okay. I'm visible.
Yes, I'll just stop sharing. Maybe. Yes.
Yeah, now it's visible.
Now we have you.
Fine.
Hello.
Yeah,
Great,
I'm visible.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
you're visible.
Okay,
Correct.
fine.
Congrats,
Fine.
Shubham.
Congrats, everyone.
And
Congrats,
everyone as
everyone.
well.
Maybe now you can take a screenshot. Everyone try to come on video if possible.
I just forgot to take the screenshot.
No worries, you can take now. Try to come on video.
Yeah, I'm on the video.
Yeah, others can.
Good, good, good. Now we can see how people who are hardworking look like. Good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. And yes, let me also take a snapshot. And so before I close, since I am very like process specific person, so I'll just like you to revisit. This was the debug panel which we saw. These were the patterns, the icons which we came across and understood how they work. Next, we looked into run to this activity, run from this activity, and test activity. And at last, we saw the locals panel. Sorry, what happened? Yeah, at last we saw locals panel, immediate panel, breakpoints, watch, call stack, and output panel, which we are all familiar with. Any questions? Any questions again?
Yeah, Pratham, I have one question.
Sure.
Regarding the logging. Okay, so instead of that green tick, is there any activity which can show the current log details on screen, like message box and all these things?
I assume you're talking about execution trail, right?
Trail or log activity, whichever logging is working on now, that can be shown on desktop or the screen.
So everything is coming in the output panel. Now, like I didn't get you properly. So whatever is getting executed, so will be coming in the output panel. Okay.
Yeah, that output panel is okay, but is there any message box kind of thing which we can show on screen instead of going to output?
For every activity.
Yeah, wherever we can add the log messages, that log messages.
Okay. Yeah. I think I understood your question. Basically, all you have to go to activities and search for message box.
Yeah, but for that message box, we need to click on OK, no?
Yes, but here when you go to message box, you will have automatically close after property. You just set it to maybe 2 seconds or 5 seconds. So for 5 seconds, it will come on screen and then it will disappear automatically.
So no need to click on OK?
No.
Okay. Fine.
OK will be there. For example, if I just test, okay, I have given 5 seconds there. Okay, properties 5 seconds. Now I need to just press step into. Okay. So I just press step into. I think all of you can learn from this as well. So with message box provides you a property called automatically close after, which we have set it to 5 seconds. Okay. So it will behave normally. It will give you a log message. It will give you a message box, but it will, if you don't click OK, it will automatically disable after 5 seconds, like it automatically disabled. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, like that kind of only I'm thinking, instead of going output, is there anything that we can show on screen? At that
See,
time,
actually, the thing is, if you put it on screen, then it will wait for you to, like, it will delay the entire process. So I'm not sure, but why would you need that? Because in general, we generally just export. You go to output after all the activities are logged, you just click on this icon and export logs, and you export it to one file, keep it handy, and then you can refer to the output logs. So this is how you do it.
Okay. Maybe that message box activity will help me.
Yes. Other questions?
Pradyuman, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just open the studio, UI Studio.
Okay.
Yeah, so every time we need to click highlight elements and log activities simultaneously when we will go for
No. Everything is independent of each other. Even the working is separate. Log activity, I'll disable everything. See, I have only enabled log activity. Now, see, first I'll show you um, general run. So I'll run file. Okay, I'll show you output. So only the message box things. Okay, only the things mentioned in message box are getting printed. Correct?
Yes.
And this got executed. Okay. Next, sorry, output panel. So only the things you mentioned specifically in message box, like main process start, and then here you mentioned sequence 1 2 3, and then you mentioned log message 2, log message. So only those things got executed, printed. If you enable log activities, now you see how it behaves. Sorry, I pressed on run file. Run will not work. It will work in debug mode. So you see,
Yeah.
every activity, message box started, log message closed. So whatever activity it is executing, it is printing that. Okay. Clear?
Yeah.
And since I was not able to show you the highlight element earlier, I'll show it now. Okay.
So nothing is interrelated, right?
No, nothing. Everything is independent. And now I have just clicked on highlight element with slow step 1x to make it most slow. Okay. Now I'm debugging it. Okay. And you see what happens. So right now the background activities are executing. So I'll tell you. So when it comes to that particular point, this text box will be highlighted, and then the value will be typed here. And then whatever is taken from the next page, the element from which we have to extract text, that will also be highlighted. Just keep your focus here. Since this is a UI activity, you are interacting with UI element. So when it, see, now it is typing, it highlighted it, and now this part highlighted. Saw it?
Yes. Perfect.
So this is how it works. So whatever activity it is dealing, whatever element it is dealing with, that will be highlighted. Other questions? Anything else, guys?
No.
Okay. Okay, then I think I took some time basically, but some extra time today, but I think it was important to help you understand the initial 3 steps of step into, step over, and step out. Okay, because those are important things and you need to understand how they work. But I hope you all enjoyed the session. Is it?
Yes, sir, very much.
Yes.
It
Okay.
was amazing, Pradyuman. Thanks a lot. Who will be
Thank
reaching
you.
you on LinkedIn too?
Sure. And I'll be, has anyone pasted my LinkedIn ID? Maybe I'll just press I'm not sure what the LinkedIn profile ID was, but maybe just try slash whatever is the LinkedIn base URL, just add slash Pradyuman 30. You'll be able to reach me. Okay, fine then. If no other questions, feel free to reach me on LinkedIn. And wait a second, to everyone in the meeting, I'll just.
Can I paste it? I have your link actually.
Oh yeah, you can do that. Thank you so much. Thank you. And yes, thanks everyone again. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for the extra time. See you soon. Bye bye. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Good
Bye.
night. Happy weekend,
night.
everyone.
You
Happy
too. You
weekend.
too.
Happy weekend.
Bye bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
night.
Good night.
Thanks, Pradyuman, for this session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for joining this session. So keep automating and have a happy weekend for everything. Thanks,
Happy
Apurva.
automation.
Yes,
Happy automation.
and keep automating. Thanks.
Keep
And
automating the lifestyle as well.
No. Don't automate the lifestyle. Otherwise, you will become a robot.
To be honest,
No,
it was a very interesting session. Thank you, Sagar, and thank you, Apurva, and thank you, Pradyuman.
Even
It was
I
more
learn a few.
interesting.
I learn a few things from Pradyuman, because as Pradyuman knows, we are using a very old version of UiPath for our
Yes.
working.
Yes.
So there are a lot of changes have happened, and this is, I think, a new version. So even I was not aware of many things. So thanks, Pradyuman, to highlight those things as well.
Appreciate your patience, Pradyuman, for our all layman questions.
No. Those are the questions which help me understand that you guys are understanding. If you don't ask questions, then I think
No,
for
this is
sure
the
they are not
first.
getting it.
This is the first session. There was a freedom, like we can ask anything. Like they don't.
Yeah, that is a big advantage over here.
Yeah, we were asking anything, just like that. We treated like your friend, like Apurva said from the beginning, every sessions. We started asking whatever it strikes to our mind. Thanks a lot
Yeah,
once
this
again.
is how you learn. If you keep back your questions after 2-3 minutes of holding your question in your mind, you lose interest for sure. That's why it's very important to keep asking whatever your mind is bothering you with.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, guys. Then it's raining
Thank you
heavily
then.
here. Yeah, bye.
I'll close the session now. Thank you everyone. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
everyone. Thanks. Bye. Happy
Bye.
weekend.